Hey y'all, it's your girl Lauren Jones with Propel Production Center.
And I'm Jarrell the Griot with the Griotsphere Productions.
And we are collaborating to bring you Artful Conductor TV. So make sure you subscribe, you hit that like button, the notification bell, all the other things that YouTube is probably making you do at this point to make sure you're in the know of when we drop new content for you.
Why? Because if you ain't in the know, then it's a no.
I don't know if that's gonna stick. I don't
I'm gonna just leave that because I like.
Warning: what you are about to hear will disrupt the norm. We are the voice of the social misfit. We empower the outliers.
Nah, don't run from the discomfort. You need to stay in it. Feel the feels and feel some type of way. Let it hit your core because that's where our healing and our change begins. System malfunction. System override. I'm feeling triggered!
Oh.
Stop with that. You feel like it. I'm just here. Yeah. I'm just here so I don't get fined. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, welcome to Feeling Trigger Podcast with your girl, Lauren.
Yes, sir. I'm Jarrell the Griot.
And we have a special guest.
Hello, I am Justin. I am glad to be back here again.
And we're glad to have you.
Glad to have you, my fellow Aggie brother.
Yes, sir. Here we go.
Moving right along.
Come on
Here
now.
at Feeling Trigger Podcast, we're definitely going to say some things to make you feel some type of way because this is the space where you want to feel provoked and challenged because at the end of the day, that's how we grow.
Facts.
That's how we change. And we are on our level up status as far as being future franchisers and moguls and billionaires. So iron sharpens iron. So we need to get into really tough conversations.
That's facts.
Feeling Trigger Podcast is broken down into a couple of segments, but before we get into any of that, before we open Pandora's box, we have to check in. You know, in order for us to be present and really talk about some heavy duty stuff, we need to ensure everyone is centered and showing up as their authentic self and their presence. So I'm gonna go last because I had a little sauce on the end of mine.
But
But we're gonna ask how the fellas are doing first. So within the Feel the Feel segment, how are you doing? How are things? How are you?
I think I'll start.
Go ahead.
So for me, it's just been a long 2 weeks. A lot of things at work going on that needed to be finalized. Starting new ventures for work as well. So good things all the way around, but just very stressful at the particular time. So I'm kind of glad that I have this day off, good day off tomorrow. I can actually try to get some rest. I plan on doing nothing.
Okay.
That whole entire day.
That is a plan. That's a plan.
You deserve it, bro. we gotta get to a space where we know that we deserve to take breaks and not do nothing.
Shoot, or not even deserve it, just because.
Just do it, like the shirt.
You don't have to earn it.
Yeah.
Like just do it.
But I mean, you know, a lot of people fight with. I know me, for example, I definitely fight with the idea like, yo, when I'm not active, I feel like
non-productive. No.
But it's like, bro, it's okay to not.
It's okay to be non-productive. I felt that way before too. Like, why am I not doing anything today? And because you are doing something that's called nothing. It's okay to not do anything.
Yes.
So I'm definitely going to do that tomorrow, which will be absolutely nothing.
Okay. I'm here for that.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Man, how am I feeling today? I'm feeling very I feel like I have a lot of anticipation building, like a lot of, and I'll say anticipation over anxiety because I'm not like stressed about it, but we got a lot of dope projects that I'm excited to see come to fruition that I'm a part of.
Okay.
So just, you know, anybody that's in the creative space, you know, being in the before time of any project is always like anxious, like a little bit nervous, hoping that everything falls into place. But you know, because I'm becoming somewhat of having some level of seniority in this production game. You know, it brings,
say it again.
I say it one more time.
Say it one more time.
Y'all better hype each other.
Say it one more time.
I'm becoming a bit of a, you know, I'm gaining some seniority, a level of tenure for my production experience. So, you know, not getting overly hasty about things falling into place, kind of just letting them happen and understanding that everything's gonna get done and be ready for when it's supposed to be. It's put me at a more calm space, but just the anticipation and excitement of, you know, these things coming to fruition. Working with a bunch of great people like Lauren, I feel like low key, bro. Like I don't understand.
As the glow just comes.
It's just always, and it's crazy because it's just about every avenue that we've gotten into collectively or individually. Like it ends up being the other way around. Like how we were talking about before we went live. Like, you know, with the other organization we just spoke about, she started in the space, you know, got the attention, brought the team on. Hey, now we collaborating, and I'm, you know, building my own relationship, my business with the organization. The two organizations I was working with outside of Propel, I'm like, yo, I know somebody that's dope that can do this, that, and the third. So now she's on both committees for both of the other projects that we on. So, you know what I'm saying?
We talking about.
You know what I'm saying? We moving.
It's
doing some things.
You feel me?
It's
dope that, you know, we definitely gonna get some work in with Napier.
Man,
very, very soon.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying? We gonna have some things in the works.
We're still trying to build on that right now.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, it's all good things coming. I'm hoping, you know, me and Future next year, you know, things will really start to take off. Just even outside of that, like even for myself, just trying to build different things, you know, to add to the portfolio.
Facts.
I really feel like, you know, I'm gonna just talk about it. The venture I have coming up for the school that I work for right now, because I am an educator. I switched roles, so I'm in a new role now. A boys mentoring program. We started it, or we're gonna start next week. We had been talking about it within the last 2 weeks or so. So we finally got a name for it. We got a concept of what we're gonna do. So I feel like the boys are really take a liking to it, you know, and then, you know, hopefully, you know, some positive things will change, you know, into as far as like how they are as young men, building them to be actually grown men, because some of these boys will be seniors, you know, this year, or they are seniors this year. So we want to kind of prepare them for the world when June hits and there is no more school, and you got a choice now. You either can go to college, you can either go to the working force, or you go to the armed forces. One or the other, but at least that maturity level will be there, and you'll be more prepared for what you need to do. So
yeah, man, especially because it's, you know, it's not very many spaces, and I've talked about this with, you know, a lot of the students I work with. Like, we understand some of the lapses that you have in your, you know, masculine development, because a lot of us either, you know, from our generation, either didn't have that at all, or had a very, you know, toxic or negative perception of what manhood looks like. And I feel like this generation, in a lot of ways, and we talked about this in the last episode, like we're kind of like the test dummy generation, because we got to kind of really take the bumps and bruises to kind of reshape the narrative about a lot of things. And I feel like, you know, masculinity and the conversation around misogyny and like all of these different things that, you know, we didn't get, and I've heard from a lot of people in the generation above us that, you know, the men of that generation are kind of in a stagnant place where they feel like they're too old to kind of learn this stuff. So for you to be starting a program that's giving you know, young men that kind of tutelage early, man, that's super admirable, bro.
Yeah,
and whatever, if y'all need help with anything, you know what I'm saying, let me know.
I'm gonna keep that in mind.
Definitely, if you want to come in and speak or anything like that, but I'm always down for that.
Because I definitely want to give a shout out to you know, to my restorative dean too, that he and I just came to conversation we're having with other co-workers, and that came up. And I was like, yo, we need to start something like that. And he was like, I've been looking for somebody that wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it. You the first guy. He was like, we're going to talk. We need to talk. So the talking came into ideas. Ideas came to concepts. Concepts came on paper. And here we go.
That's perfect timing for what we're about to talk about, too.
Right.
With collaboration and coming together and connection.
But before we get there, let's check in for you. What's going on? How you feeling today?
Guys, okay, disclaimer. First of all, Jarrell and I, whenever we do the podcast, we don't normally plan for any of this. So Feel the Feels is very genuine. Like, it's an immediate, like, the camera's rolling, how are you doing type of thing to capture that raw energy and emotion. But I already knew today what I wanted my Feel the Feels to be on the way home. So for me, it's a little bit more premeditative.
Okay.
But I do think it's still going to pack the same punch of authentic self. So, y'all, I am in so much pain right now. Oh, no. So much pain. Ladies, it is that time. Fellas, it is that time. I wanted to save how I'm doing right now just for this. For the very saucy, uncomfortable. I said, it's like, gonna be saucy.
Extra saucy. Saucy.
Okay, so.
Wait, hold up. So, when you say saucy, like, is it like Louisiana hot sauce?
Oh, nah.
Is it like
Chipotle, jump to instant curiosity.
Jalapeno sauce, like what sauce we talk? Like how saucy are we talking right now?
So it ranges, but today is day one. So my most immediate pain are cramps, like and lower back pain. And today I also was helping move with the smash room. So we're dumpster diving, we're looking for junk, we lifting, we moving stuff. I wanted to cry all day, okay? And then on the way home, I was like, let me just send a text to them and say, let me just cancel today. I just want to curl up with my heating pad, with my brownie from Starbucks, with my tea, with my Bob's Burgers.
I think it's something about like the dopamine.
I do think it has some chemical reaction.
I've been wanting to figure it out.
Look it up. And I mean, dark chocolate is genuinely healthy for us.
Because every time I say it's like either chocolate
but yes. And ladies, y'all sound out in the comment, what's your favorite go-to decadent dessert? So mine are brownies. So anyway, but I said, Lauren, you know what? Don't cancel, because we've been talking about showing up to be authentic and being integrous and being emotionally honest, and you need to speak from that place, because oftentimes women, me especially, we feel obligated to show up despite the pain, especially when it comes to business, boss lady stuff. A lot of the times I put boss ahead of being a woman, and that's just so toxic. But that's what we're conditioned to do. So I felt obligated to show up today for a multitude of reasons, but especially because this is your business. You're starting something new with Jarrell. Feeling Triggered is going to take off. You need to show up.
Boss,
so
we would have understood.
Yes.
But they would
you.
Have if I shared, but that's not something that we talk about at the water cooler or at the workplace. And I definitely
woman to woman.
I about to say, and I definitely wouldn't cross to have a conversation with them.
I don't care either way.
Listen,
about how I'm doing.
Things are happening right now.
Right.
I can't make that meeting. Moving forward though, I think I might just take the whole week, just block it. No meetings, no events, no workshops.
That's what you should do.
No classes. Yeah. Ladies, why don't we do that?
Why not?
Why don't we do that?
Just do that.
Why don't we do
that? God set the charge and
why don't we do that?
It could become more of a thing in the same way.
Yes.
Maternity leave.
We only need to work 3 weeks.
It's like 6 weeks.
All these different type of things.
3
But I did get the answer for this chocolate though. So apparently,
please tell me, because I need to know this.
Apparently, high hormone levels during the early parts of menstrual cycles cause an increase in insulin.
Oh.
Insulin regulates your blood glucose levels, so the high levels of insulin in your body then results in low blood sugar, and this is the reason why most women crave something sweet.
I thought it would have been the opposite. It goes up.
Well, there you have it. Those are facts with Jay.
Well,
You learn something new every
I was
day.
just about to say that. Too.
But for my feel the feelings segment, I wanted to do all of that, but I mainly just wanted to say that I feel like I've entered a new phase of authenticity and honesty with my walk as being an entrepreneur. Because this is a conversation I would have never had, and I definitely wouldn't have it recorded for strangers to watch forever and ever and ever. You've heard it here first. And so I think that it's exciting to be in this new space of showing up honestly and focusing on creating calendars that support me as being a woman and also being an entrepreneur. And also realizing like the more you know, the more you realize the more you unlearn, and like all the toxics that kind of melt away, the more you're introduced to. Because at some point, especially being a clinician, I'm kind of like, oh, I know this stuff. I've healed, I've navigated all that stuff. Nah, I'm still going through over here as well.
And I mean, even navigating it and understanding it, that don't mean that you still want to experience it.
And why is that? What's the term for that? Oh, he knows it because we've talked about this.
I am learning.
Wait, let's backtrack.
Okay.
Just because you learned it and you understand intellectualizing your emotions. See? I'm here.
I was about to say, he knows. Yes.
Okay.
When you spend time with your girl, you gonna learn some clinical terms.
Let me find out, man.
So and only reason I know that is because she's very oftentimes accused me of doing that. Because if I can make sense of something, then it makes me a lot less emotionally attached to it.
He doesn't feel it.
And
I was like, just because you understand it.
With you feeling
I don't do this though.
That was like, what is that? Saucy air quotes.
Right.
That was saucy air quotes.
There you go. Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah. Cool. Well, like I said, for future reference, boss lady, we told you before, because you do a lot, you always running around, you never really sitting down for long, you always having one thing or another happening. So when you do feel those days that you need that break regardless of what we got planned, listen, I'm like one of them people, please cancel plans with me. I don't have no problem sitting in the crib. So, future reference.
I appreciate that.
Justin would have probably held it over your head though, because we talked. Only reason because we talked so bad about him not possibly not showing up for today, even though he said
really.
Yeah, remember we was what was that? At Mike's birthday, you was like, I'm gonna be there. He's like, we'll see. We gonna be here. We gonna be here.
If you want me here, I will make sure that I am here. I matter of fact, this is how I know I was gonna be here. I checked my schedule a week before. Just to make sure what I had going on.
Well, we appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
We appreciate you cutting your time out.
Can we take a little? I just feel like, am I glistening?
You're fine, man. It's not.
It's really hot here.
Machine. Yeah, we got the lights on. You know what I'm saying?
Both
our production value is continuing to rise. So
both lights are on.
We got some lights going on in here. But anyway.
Okay. Anyway.
Let's move.
Thank you guys for allowing me to show up as my authentic self.
Hey, can I say one more thing about this segment? Can I say one more thing? When I showed up today, because normally, y'all have seen how Lauren's very eccentric dresser. She always got she giving you the vibe. She's always very on brand with her dress when it's time to, be in front of people, get on stage, get in front of the camera, whatever the case may be. So when I came in the door, and I was like, oh, she got the WSSU sweatpants on.
Man.
I got the Crocs.
And just throw the t-shirt. I was like,
I had to be comfortable.
Are we shooting today? Like, what's happening? But now that you explain
the fact that I am here.
It's no
judgment whatsoever.
Ladies, I got my heating pad. I got my pillow. Comfort. I have to be comfortable.
It's all about the comfort.
No harm, no foul.
But thank you. Yes, I do like to be on brand,
We respect it.
Showing out.
We respect that.
Okay. So
that's funny.
After we check in, now we're a little bit more present. We're a little bit more open to having this conversation. We move into our trigger warning topic. This is where it gets hot and heavy. If you saw the last episode, Sound Off, he lost his mind, didn't he?
What I do?
Did he act the fool? He went off.
I don't even remember. I couldn't even tell you. Because all I remember is we took like a 2-hour break in the middle.
Oh God!
So I don't even know what was really happening.
So pause right here, watch the previous episode, and then come back, and we'll wait.
Okay.
And now we're back. So did he? Thank you.
I have no idea. What did I do? I showed off.
What? You were triggered. It was you were feeling some type of way.
I was feeling some type of way. I don't remember what type of way I was feeling, but I know it was a way, though.
All I'm just say.
You feel me? Yeah. It was a way. I don't know what way it was, but it was a way.
It was a way.
Octaves get a little bit higher when you get triggered.
Yes. When you gotta lean forward, when there's movement like this.
You just start talking, yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of what trigger warning segments are about. So if you missed it, go ahead and watch it. But today we have Justin here, so we'll be picking his brain. He'll be sharing some information. But I kind of want us to talk about, like, I forgot how you phrased it, and then you can jump in and polish it off. So kind of talking about collaboration on the grassroots level. How does it start? How does it work out? What are the challenges? What are the advantages? What are the barriers? What are the obstacles in that sort of space? Because right now we're all at the grassroots entrepreneurial space. And if you purchased any of the Griotsphere merchandise, you'll see that we're just sprouts. We're growing seedlings. We're digging down and planting roots. But how do we?
Little buds.
How do we do that? How do we navigate collaboration with this space, especially within the arts and the wellness space? It's not like we're selling shoes.
No.
It's a little bit different. It's a little bit grayer.
It's mostly an idea. You got to have an idea first. Because no idea, no project, no nothing. You know what I mean? So, and then it's got to be something that works. It makes sense. Like what do you have a need for? Yeah. You know, and do you have people that are around you that have that same need or same want? You know what I mean? And being able to put in that work, like that's always the biggest issue. Nobody wants to put in the work. They have the ideas but don't want to put the work in.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think even more so too, speaking more specifically to the people, I guess the biggest example that comes to mind for me is like when you hear like Jay-Z talk about how he's curated his career. You know, he's gone across different industries and done a whole bunch of different things, but it's all about finally deciding who you are going to align your brand with, and showing that, you know, it aligns in all ways, not, you know, what you present to the world, the work ethic that you have, who the audiences that you want to present yourself to. All of that comes into play when you thinking about working with other organizations. And I feel like a lot of times, especially in the grassroots space, you're so eager to try to get indoors that you kind of relinquish the control that you have over what your brand is and what it's going to be. So I feel like we've all kind of, I won't say completely circumvented that obstacle of aligning with people, because I feel like for the most part, everybody that I've came in contact and worked with, that actually the work came to fruition, because like you said, you know, people ain't always going to come through all the way. No. But for the project that actually came to fruition, I feel like the alignments and the collaborations are, of course, impactful in the moment, but it's more so going to be impactful later. Right? I
want to jump in because I did not avoid that obstacle.
Oh, for real?
So I feel like between the three of us, I'm the old head in the group as far as entrepreneurship.
I will give you that one.
So
I will give you that one.
Or she just an old head.
So
well, I mean,
sound off in the comments. Which one do you think it is?
Sorry.
I'll wait. So I've had a business plan and started doing ventures with them, Propel, back in 2013. And then I got incorporated in 2016. So I've been doing programs, products, and services for the community for a nice chunk of time. For a nice chunk of time.
And I've been following it since 2013. I am not gonna lie to you, I have. I've followed it from its inception up till now, and I will say you've done a terrific job with it. And it has shown much progress.
Facts.
So
big facts.
I really appreciate that.
I mean, hey, look, man, it's no smoke, it's no none of it. I just, it's sometimes you have to sit there and like look at other people's progress to understand, like, okay, this is how they did it. I can take a little bit from there and then kind of apply it to what I got.
Absolutely. And it was even crazier too. I saw Propel in its incubation, even before incubation, like in its inception, like the inception of the concept and ideas. Me and Lauren was working together. Even
when I was still in grad school.
Because I was first trying to figure out what is Propel. Like I've never heard of it.
Right.
Before, you know what I mean?
And she was putting it together, putting the ideas together, and it was cool because even in that space, we kind of got to test our collaborative muscles because we were collaborating on a task that most people probably could not do. I'm gonna just put it out there. Like, we were trying to teach 4 to 7-year-old boys, and they have no rhythm, how to step.
No.
Doing a full step choreography.
Yes.
That was our assignment. And we collaborated and ended up having the best.
And we killed it.
We did the step and we did the dance.
See, I taught 4-year-olds how to step.
4 to 7-year-old
and they
boys,
killed it. Little soldiers.
Little soldiers. Shout out Little Soldiers.
Little Soldiers.
Shout out Little Boys Hip Hop. we was doing
they did a really good job.
It was
That's
dope.
what's up though.
And so from that, that's how me and Lauren like originally met. Like we originally met from there. She was always talking about Propel, like and all that stuff. And then, coming in later, get opportunity. And that's what I wanted to speak to more, even with that in the collaboration space. The fact that Propel not only, put itself in position, but then turned right around and started like trying to put as many more people in possession. Like Propel Bosses in essence is exactly that. Like I'm going to use the platform and the network that I have to try to put as many other people in positions as possible. So in terms of collaboration, we got a really good blueprint, y'all. We got a really solid blueprint.
I'm gonna just say this too. Like, just the whole concept of the word boss. Like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's a trigger word for me because, especially in our community, we use that word a lot.
Facts.
And we don't even really know what that means. We all know 9 to 5 working world. We know like this is my boss. This is who runs things. You know what I'm saying? But like from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's more to it than that. You know what I mean? You got to have your brilliancy or your brilliance when it comes to being a boss. You got to be able to have organizational skills to that. You know what I mean? Along with supporting other businesses that are trying their best to build on top of what they already have, and then just being able to like serve whatever entrepreneurship environment that you are, catering to. And a lot of, it's a lot of times it's just like, oh, well, I run things, I do this, I do. Okay, it's fine, but what ideas are you coming up with?
But where are you leading from?
Right, what is what is your purpose right now? Like, what environment are you trying to build from this? You know what I'm saying? Who is your audience that you're trying to cater to? Like, what is your persona of this business?
Facts.
Like, who are you? Like, what type of person am I dealing with right now? And if you can't tell me that, then you are not a boss. You are literally just someone that just has a business.
Yeah, who's that? I think that was Rhapsody. Everybody a boss, but who you like? She had a boss like everybody a boss, but you ain't got no employees. Like how you a boss when you not leading nobody?
Right,
like,
just
because
you put out money
doing
for this, and I'm like, no, there's more to it than that. Like if you can't show those 4 things to make, I call it the acronym instead of just an actual word. Don't say that word to me, cause I'm not gonna believe you. Like right now, I'm not a boss. I'm a person that we have ideas and we try to figure out how to make it work for our clients, and even for myself right now, you know, even for my job, like I'm trying to figure out like how can I make our student, especially our male black students, better young men. That's what being a boss is. Not just because you make money and you ride around in a certain type of car and you make all this like who cares? I don't care about that.
Speak on it.
You know what I mean? Like you're just telling me, oh, I'm head of something and I can buy expensive materialistic things that don't mean anything.
Well, sip on that, huh?
Sip on it.
And there you have
We might as well just go ahead.
There you have it.
What else you got to say?
There you have it. I did want to circle back to what Jarrell said a little while ago about the eagerness of grassroots organizations and not really putting alignment at the forefront, but putting connection. You need to know people, you need funds. Like there's a lot of things that go into the operational space of being successful with your programs. So with Propel starting off early on, fresh out of graduate school, with my MSW, so with my social work degree, and knowing that I wanted to enter this entrepreneurship space and knowing that I wanted to do it unlike anybody else has done before, because I didn't want to do traditional talk therapy. I wanted to do something with the arts. Like I knew people can learn through the arts, and not only can they learn, but they can learn really impactful emotional wellness tools to equip them to move forward. And if anybody took the time to hear what I had to say, or took the time to provide me an opportunity to enter the space and do whatever I needed to do, it was a yes, without even much forethought, just off of the strength of, one, I was excited, and I was excited to energize anybody else that was willing to hear me. I definitely had a lot of, I wouldn't even call it imposter syndrome, straight up imposter-ish as a social worker pitching this almost fictitious organization with an array of programs that were in my mind, but not necessarily, you know, textbook or CD-ROM. But I'm going up against the educational system and the mental health care system and the business system. So just leaping. And I will say that got me a lot of connections, that got me a lot of experience, and I got a lot of cuts and bruises along the way. Just because I think when you run at something and you jump off the cliff, you're gonna bang up against something. You're not gonna be able to land. You're gonna get a concussion or two. You're gonna experience some drama on the way down. So I definitely can't say that I immediately aligned with who I needed to align with and was holistically focused on connection first. It was definitely very much so mission first, and I just need to get to the kids. Because I have something for them, and I just want their lives to be, you know, phenomenally better than how our lives were growing up, as far as navigating thoughts and feelings and all that stuff that we were too cool to really do. So I didn't align. It really wasn't until, I want to say, COVID. I be giving COVID a lot of credit, but I don't think I was really starting to say no to opportunities until COVID. And that was dangerous because it was a global pandemic, and it's not like folks had money just out the wazoo. So shutting down contracts and commitments just off the strength of it doesn't sit well with me, it doesn't sit right with my soul, was scary. Saying no to working with preschoolers was scary, because working with children was my bread and butter. You know, so elementary school, preschool, those clients came like clockwork. So being more intentional with saying, I only want to work with 16 through like 35. So saying no to a lot of church organizations who had a lot of older individuals. It's so hard to say no, period. It's especially hard to say no in the service-based mental health space. And it's even harder to say no in the healthcare arena. Who says no to a 2-year-old that needs mental health treatment? I had to during COVID because I was experiencing so much burnout. So I think that when it comes to collaborations, I'm going full circle, I'm doing the Jarrell. When it comes to collaboration and connection, in order for you as a boss or an entrepreneur to grow and in order for your businesses to be sustainable, it has to rely heavily on connection and collaboration. One, because every single thing you do is not within your mission, is not within your purpose, is not within your gift. Two, God made us to be social beings and creatures. Three, there's always going to be gaps of service within our community, and our community needs everything. Yes. So you need to constantly connect with the people that align with you, with the people that stay true to your mission, but can shore up and provide supplemental support to the people that you're serving.
Bars.
Man.
Bars.
Man.
So, okay, so I have a question in that regard. So, like, what do you feel like was the driving forces behind, not even necessarily like the collaboration for work that you weren't really trying to do, but like people or like other companies? What were like some of the key things that, you know, the audience might want to look for that are definite red flags when collaborating with somebody?
Ooh, that's a good question. The very first thing that came to mind is if you're starting to feel a bit of discomfort, like if the lane or the box that you're being placed in is too tight and all of you cannot fit. So if they're asking for a very finite piece of you, but you're not able to show up as your full self within that finite piece, and you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta shrink to fit. Like if you have this sensation of, if any kind of there's a before you have to commit to doing a task, more than likely that's not the task that's meant for you. As a social worker within the helping profession, 99.9% of the tasks that we need to do in order to support our community are things that kind of make us feel like, okay, let's try to make this work. So I was so conditioned to feeling like, okay, let's try to make this work, that I had to remind myself, sis, that's not the healthy way to be walking around doing stuff. You should be able to be like, I can show up as my full self at any day of the week doing this activity. I'm looking forward to this activity. I'm falling madly in love with this activity. I'm feeling comfortable. So those are things that I had to start saying no to. So that was my first thing.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing though.
I can see that 100%, because like I feel like, especially for me, and I feel like a lot of people that step into the creative entrepreneur space, you are doing what you're doing for no other purpose than true expression. And I feel like, you know, your mission behind Propel is like a heart mission. It's not like, you know, because I went to school for this is what I'm supposed to do. As you saying, approaching the mental health space in a different capacity than what is expected. So that just shows that going back to my equation that I kind of live by, which is passion plus purpose equals prosperity. And even as a grassroots organization, that passion has to be at the forefront. And the minute that you're stepping into a situation that is extinguishing that passion, it's time to go. Time to go. It's unfortunate that I was placed in somewhat of that situation coming out of the going into the pandemic as an educator. My passion was beginning to be extinguished for being a teacher or educator in that capacity, because of all of the outside parameters that was getting placed on us, while still expecting us to do our jobs in a way that was effective. And I just could not see, and I know a lot of teachers that's literally just collecting a check. So they're stepping in this space and doing whatever it is, not really caring about the results or the effects of what they're doing, just merely there for the sake of being a body there. And I just couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't accept that. Justin, because you work with older kids, you know, I know it was definitely a different experience, but Like how?
So
yeah,
I jumped from middle school kids to high school kids within like over the summer. You know what I'm saying? Like I finished up the school year with middle schoolers, and then by August 2nd, I'm in a totally different space.
Wow.
A space I ain't never been in before. You know, ever since I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? And I'm dealing with a different generation of kids.
Facts. That's big facts.
You know what I'm saying?
That's big facts.
Not to mention, these are kids that were also doing virtual learning, and they're just now coming back to a whole different atmosphere that they haven't been used to being in like the past year and a half. So I'm dealing with different types of personalities, different types of attitudes. You know, they don't know me, so this is my first year there, so they're trying to get used to me. I'm trying to get used to them. So all of these emotions and all of this going in through my head, and still I'm trying to learn a whole new position. You know what I mean?
That's
so
yeah, wow.
It is insane that, well, it's insane teaches what y'all experience, period, like pre-pandemic. But I will also say that I think that that is unfortunately the norm with helping professionals in general. Because I am thinking, of course, social workers, I'm thinking of us, but I'm also thinking of like nurses. Like I'm thinking of so many people who spend so much time in school.
I took my hat off to them.
Come back and to be within the helping. So any helping professional, child, first of all,
man,
pat yourself on the back.
Yo,
so
if you got a hat, tip that thing.
You know what I mean?
Today.
And
I feel like the amnesia that the world so quickly had from a year and a half ago, where they realized how valuable these help spaces were, how important, you know, these what they would call the frontline workers, that is just in any type of service capacity, and how important that these jobs that are most likely the least paying jobs are in a crisis the most valuable people. Everybody was like, yo, teachers, yo, nurses, yo, mental health specialists, yo, like grocery workers and police, like, thank you all. Then the panic settled, and everybody's like, okay, get back to doing your.
The crazy thing is, like, it hasn't gone away.
It's
still here.
And it was crazy. The situation hasn't changed, but the panic has gone because we're living.
They've gotten used to it.
We live in such a short attention span society that even though if anything is going on for longer than maybe like a month, 2 months, by month 3, people have moved on. Like
honestly,
it ain't even the same fear about this whole situation.
We've been so comfortable of being immune to so many things. You know what I'm saying? Especially with this pandemic, it's like we acting like everything's cool. Everybody's like, you know, going about their day, and it's like, y'all do know we still got this thing going on right now.
They still out here.
You know what I mean?
They still out here getting people.
Yeah.
Auntie Rona still ain't playing no games.
No.
And she brought some cousins. Like she brought some very.
she brought some heavy hitters.
She brought some very aunts.
Yes. So
Auntie Rona brought some very aunts.
I've had to deal with that too inside the educational system, and I mean that's just. It's so many things. Like you just have to
adding layers.
You have on your plate, and then you got to go home, and then also be able to handle just normal life. You know what I mean? And if you are an entrepreneur, you got to handle that life too. So you got 3 separate lives you live in that aspect. You got to be for me, it's the educator, you know, home life, and then entrepreneur life. And I got to be able to balance all 3 of them joints.
Balance is a key.
Yeah,
balance is the key. So to digress a little bit, I have a question for both of you guys. Like, hypothetical, you have a situation where you get to collab with another grassroots organization with 100% certainty of long-term success. So like, it's not immediate. It's not immediate gratification, but it's in the future, but it's guaranteed.
Right.
Or would you rather collaborate with an established entity with 50% or less likelihood, but a more immediate gratification?
I want grassroots. I don't want nobody established, because if you're established, then that means you have somewhat of power to take my baby away from me.
That's fair.
I don't want that. And you can't trust everybody you collaborate with either. Especially somebody that's established. I mean, there are some that are true to what they say, you know, because they don't want their name to be tarnished either, you know, but at the same time, you just have some that just take that risk and be like, well, you know, it is what it is. I have the money, you know, so let me just go ahead and take what they got. You're not even taking into consideration how hard they worked for that.
Yeah.
You know, it was an idea that you came up with to make your own, and then you're gonna take that from me? You out of your mind.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. You know, I wanna work with the grassroots. I wanna work the ones that are trying to figure this thing out just like I am. You know what I mean? And once you figure it out and I figure it out, we can both come together to make something really good and really big. You know, why not? You know what I mean? You appreciate it more.
Facts.
You know what I mean? I don't like working with the establishment. I want to work with the grassroots. I want to work with the people that are working just as hard as I am.
I feel that. I feel that 100%. What you think, boy? What you think, boss lady?
That's a really hard question. In all honesty, that's a really hard question, and I don't want to choose. I want both. I want to be able to choose both of those things, because it really depends on what my role is within the collaboration and the connection space, what the deliverables are between the unions of the established or the grassroots organization, and what's, I guess, the overall, like, what's the purpose? Like, why are we even getting together to begin with? Because certain of those responses, I would sway either way. For example, if the established organization already has the reach, already has the people, already has the networks, and they just want me to speak, I'm definitely going with the established versus the grassroots, because I'm interested in educating. So I'm interested in sharing information. So if they are providing the people, one, that takes a lot of work off me, because y'all, marketing, I'm still actively learning how to market effectively. So, but if they already grant, like, 200 people gonna be there, can you show up and speak 90 minutes about?
Yes. Absolutely.
So let's review the MOU. So what is it that you want? Okay, yes. If it's more communicative, and we're focusing on like a long-term thing, like maybe we're planting a garden, I'm gonna want the people that know the streets. I'm gonna want the people that know who we need to activate within the community to get this ball rolling and to let it be sustainable. If I'm gonna roll my sleeves up and stick with it, I need people that know people that know people, that have heart, still active and hungry to serve, because more than likely they're living in the community that they're serving. So they're invested on a multitude of levels. The big wigs might just pop in and out. And I mean, that's what big wigs do. But if I had to choose with that caveat, I would choose with grassroots. So I would say it really depends. I think that question is very gray. And it depends on what my capacity is at the time. Yeah.
So I asked specifically.
I don't want the pop-ups. Like I don't want you just popping up just to say, like, no.
If they gonna pop up and sponsor Art Hills Fall Festival, oh baby, because we need Art Hills Fall Festival. If they want to sponsor a year of Propel Bosses, okay, drop them coins.
I hear you.
Or okay, bring the masses, bring the people. Okay. So that's why I say it really depends on what the relationship entails. What are the requirements? What are the deliverables? What's the goal? What's the mission? And what's my personal capacity? Because I'm definitely trying to be more smart as far as what I'm dedicating time and energy and effort to. I can't just be heart 24/7. I gotta be brain too. And I might have my bleeding heart wants to do so many things, but understanding if I commit to everything, grassroots level, everything's not going to get done to the effectiveness that I needed to get done or for the sustainability that I needed to get done. So there's every once in a while where I'm like, oh, you already did all that. Cool. What?
So the reason I asked that is because I feel like, and once again, I specifically, where that question rose from a creative entrepreneurial space, and it's just like, and I agree 100% with what both of y'all was saying, because a lot of things would dictate that answer, and I think more specifically about people that are in the creative space, like in production and music, like how would I even put it? How important or how valuable that your intellectual property is, whatever that may be. And I feel like my caveat is always who or which organization, whether it be the grassroots or otherwise, sees the connection between who you are showing up in the space and then the intellectual property that you bring in. Because like as you said, for a lot of bigwig companies, they'll be willing to take the intellectual property and then completely wipe you out of it to kind of fit their narrative. Well, if you are a company that understands this is what you're bringing to the table, and we know we're bringing you on because you are the only person that can do. So it's all a matter of, because it's definitely grassroots organizations that would do the same thing. Work with people all the way up to the end and then literally not even erase them, but just put my banner over top of the whole thing without even giving any type of caveat to the fact that I work with other people.
Yeah.
And so, and the reason I ask that is to kind of summate the conversation to tell our viewers, to tell our listeners, like, the biggest part in all of that is equity. And I feel like everything that you spoke to the equity aspect. How much am I putting in? How much am I getting out? How much are you? What's your expectations of me? What can I expect from you? All of these things will formulate to, equal to what is how equitable is this opportunity? So, and it looks different for everybody. You know what I mean? It looks different for everybody. What you want to get out of it and what you willing to put into it is the big question.
I'm going through that right now, and I went through that this year as well. Two very different situations. One of them, grassroots, baby organization, like an idea in a space, so it's coming at me because I am an expert in the field of developing programs for youth and young adults. So having meetings, providing ideas, providing concepts, providing program structure, getting excited to bring my people on, and it almost, as quick as it came.
It's like it never happened.
Listen.
As quick as it came, he leaning back because he know what I'm talking about. As quick as it came, as quick as it left. So that was me connecting with the grassroots organization, Heart Work. We both have the same common mission. We're both excited about activating our community and providing educational services. And we're going to end the story there. Meanwhile, I'm in conversation right now with an existing organization, and we're at the MOU stage, which we did not get past with the grassroots because I feel like contracts period are scary. But
especially if you don't know
tuning in for something in particular.
So we died at the grassroots phase with the MOU, and all the conversation, all the intellectual property, all the sharing is gone. So now I'm with the big wigs because I done bumped my head. I done learned some lessons. And now I'm kind of like, so this is the MOU right here. Okay. We're gonna,
be not thinking about what's happening.
Right. And when Jarrell said creatives, I was like, yes, we need that, because as an entrepreneur, you are creating solutions for whatever problem you see. So even if you think, I'm not artsy, I'm not creative, but you are creating, you are in the creative space as far as you launching your programs, your concepts, your products, whatever it is. So anyway, I'm at the MOU phase, and I've put a little caveat, and you guys write this down or Google how to format it. But essentially, there is a whole intellectual property clause within the MOUs that I do now. And the first line, they're literally identical lines. It's just the people change. So the first line is of the mind that says, look, we're going to work together. I'm going to work with you. You're going to work with me. If you have any ideas, programs, services, products, I have a non-compete with you for 5 years. Like, if you bringing it to the table, that's yours for 5 years. I'm just going to see it like, okay, cool, let's do it. Okay, cool. And when we part amicably or not, that's yours. Whatever you bring to the table is yours. So then the same thing for me. You're going to work with me, I'm going to work with you. Whatever programs I bring, products I bring, services I bring, they're mine. Okay? And there's a non-compete clause for 5 years. Now, year 6, if you're like, oh, I remember 5 years ago you did such and such, because by then I'm
on to the next thing.
Yeah, you can have that. That's fine. But for the 5 years, that's mine. And we're going to have a meeting because we have still not, they're a little uneasy about signing that. And that is another red flag for me. Because if you don't respect me enough to give me and to leave me what I'm bringing to the table, and mind you, this only goes into effect when we're done. So if we're friends forever, then it's never gonna go into effect. You're always gonna be able to use it as long as we're in a relationship.
Lauren got the company signing the prenups, bro.
So if we're gonna be happily ever after,
she said, we together and we break up, then you
that's
take
exactly what it is.
This is your world and this is my world. We're gonna bring these worlds together. But if these worlds don't work out, then we're gonna make sure that I take my stuff and go back to my world, you take your stuff and go back to your world.
Exactly.
We ain't gonna be doing all this different world, this world changing.
I did not, because another thing is I did not create that for you. I created that for my community. And if you're leaving me, that's fine, but my community still needs this. So give me my stuff. Okay, so that's where I'm at with the contract.
She said, give me my
right there.
things.
So if you can't come to terms with like, oh yeah, I respect that, because if we, if this is a 1 year contract after the year or whatever, so that's a red flag for me. So if we don't move past this, then I now know to stop talking, to stop meeting with them, because we have nothing more to discuss, and they're really revealing their true flags. Now that's something I had to learn along the way, because I was just like, oh, they're nice people. Everyone is nice. Everyone wants to work for the community and help one another and just love on one another. That's the social worker way. That's the healthcare way. We're all in it,
I was totally opposite.
No, it's nothing like that. So now I have my MOUs in place. So if you guys have an MOU, or if you're entering a basic thing, sign it. If it makes y'all feel any better, I feel like Jarrell and I signed something this year.
We did. I don't quite remember in its entirety.
But guess what? We ain't gotta remember, because we gonna be best friends forever.
I'm like, and it was funny because, and I remember this time too, because this was right around the time you were trying to reconfigure what Propel Bosses was gonna look like. We had Remix Rage that was popping off. We had, and it was like a couple of other things. We started My Body Ready. Like, so we had a couple of programs that was in the works. We was building, we was starting to get together. And Lauren was in the space where like, and I remember this vividly, like you was in the space where like everybody, you even talked about like even family had became like business conversations, because Lauren's fortunate enough to her entire family is a group of entrepreneurs and creatives. So collaborating and working together, they kind of setting the tone for how the things work. Kind of polishing. Mama T, Miss Teresa Waters of Artesia Enterprises is super dope. And if Lauren has tenure in this program development and entrepreneurship space, then I don't know, Mama T like
lifetime membership.
Lifetime membership. So so Lauren was talking about like, yo, like we gotta get some stuff on paper because we just been working and da-da-da-da. And so we just had to take a second and stop and be like, yo, this still you still the homie. So like how we moving, this might not work in all capacities with everybody, but here, like what I got to give is for the group. Like it's us. It's a vibe. And she slowed down, she was like, okay. we still, but she's like, so now we just more so getting documentation so that when we're showing what we do or what we've done, we got that. But I'm like, in terms of like, you know, hard fought, hard pressed, concrete, solidified, because we so fluid in how we work, like it's so crazy. It's like Kobe and Shaq, but triangle offense.
Well, you gotta remember too, they didn't get along at first.
But it worked.
It worked, but they didn't get along at first. But that took time.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like even when you were going back to talk, you know, saying that we're family, but still there's business involved here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Family, great, wonderful, but there's still a business aspect that still needs to be handled before we have this family affair.
I think it's like I definitely agree with you. I think it's more like the anxiety, the stress factor around, like, because people always say, you know, mixing, you know, business and pleasure or whatever. Yeah. But I feel like, which is dope, we kind of started from a business acumen.
But you gotta have the same mindset.
There you go. And so from our developing business relationship, the friendship grew alongside it. Yeah. So like the trust factors are there. Right. The real collaborative effort is there. Mm-hmm. But once again, going back to the same thing, the equity is always there. Right. So whether it's, you know, verbal contracts, whether it's, you know, written black and white contracts, we've always been in a position to whereas Lauren's like, I respect and I value what you bring to the table. That is why I always bring you to the table with me. Right. And I'm like, I appreciate being at the table because I realize the table that you're setting. So how we're moving, that's the contract. Like that's the contract. And we have, like you said, both have done that verbally and from a MOU contractual basis. But
so y'all have so from what I'm hearing is you have a visual and a verbal contract.
Yeah. But it didn't feel like that though. That's the difference.
It still doesn't feel like that though.
It doesn't because y'all have known each other for a while and you're used to how each other works. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to somebody that you've never met before and you try that same concept.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. Nah. You know what I'm saying?
Another thing that through a monkey wrench, I feel like that kind of started this whole conversation with me and Jarrell, which is also an amazing thing, which kind of circle back to Propel Bosses, is that Jarrell got an LLC because when we were working together from Jump Street, it was just two people, two HBCU grads, just thrown into the thick of it. We just vibing. Then 2016, I got incorporated. So it's like, Jarrell, come. I got incorporated now. I'm a business. Like, folks hiring.
I'm like, Propel, let's get it. We out here. T-shirts and all that.
We got like getting connections to schools, churches, community centers. When you have a nonprofit, like I'm not just Lauren. I'm Propel Boss. I'm Propel Production Center. Shoot, I'm so many things now. But I'm Propel Production Center. So many hats. And so it was like this, like, oh, Propel got something. Come on. Now Jarrell has an LLC. It's like, for real, I had to check myself. It's not even Jarrell anymore. It's Jarrell, y'all. But it's the Griotsphere. Like, it's two entities now. It's not an entity housing two individuals. So on the business side of things, it's brand new territory. On the friendship relational side, it's Jarrell. It's the homie. Like, I'm always going to bring him on. But ironing out and ensuring that businesses are showing up and representing the different entities, because LLC, nonprofit, doing what we need to do. If I'm bringing him on, acknowledging that Propel is bringing on Griotsphere, Jarrell's probably trying to get business credit. You know, there's so many different things to ensure that the Griotsphere is getting what it needs to get. And then also decided, you know what, let's split Feeling Triggered. You know, it kind of got birthed out of the pandemic and is attached to Remix Rage, but now it's kind of just, let's share that. So it's a whole,
each other in a sense.
Pretty much.
It's a whole, yes. And,
pretty much.
But it's amazing, but it's also an entanglement of two entities. So being cognizant of, this is never going to happen. But if it happens, how do you untangle amicably and even if that never happens, how do you split taxes? How do you split wages? What does that look like?
Each strand of string, and you figure that thing out as you go along.
Right. And then once you figure it out, write it down. Like, what's so hard about writing stuff down?
We don't want to. That's the problem.
Write it down and then agree.
The book say, write it down, make it plain.
Write it down, make it plain.
It said
write it down, make it plain.
We don't even have no excuses now. We got these right here. We can do this the entire
Even
time.
just a little text. Like, all right, you get this amount, I get this amount.
But think about it. Like, we have transcripts of meetings that is literally just a text thread. Like,
literally.
This is what's happening.
But there's still a transcript of a meeting, though.
You still need the
you still
paperwork.
had a meeting. You know, it doesn't need to be like this long, drawn-out document stating, "Oh, this is what we talked about." No, in this text, we talked about this, 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 and this.
But it is so pertinent that since we're talking about collaboration and connections, it's so pertinent to have just clear, simple conversations about what do you need, what do I need, what do you want, what do I want, what am I going to do for you, what are you going to do for me, what's the main mission for the community, when are we starting, when are we ending, is there any money that needs to go in it up front, are we doing that 50-50, you doing 100, I got you next time. Like, all of these very simple operational stuff needs to be ironed out, because if not, you're going to show up and be like, oh, I thought you was
looking crazy.
Oh, I thought you was
It's like trust, though.
Yeah,
man.
but then the thing
it goes deeper than trust. It needs to be some commitment.
Well, trust is the foundation.
And then what's the, I guess the cool part about it is, like you said, when you had that trust as the foundation, the actual factuals, the dotting the I's and the crossing the T's becomes a little less rigid, because you're working with somebody that you understand. Like, at the end of the day, I know you're not trying to get over.
Right.
And what you said, like a red flag, when you sitting at the table with somebody and y'all conducting business negotiation. Now, negotiations is always going to be a back and forth thing, and I feel like people who are, I won't say fearful of conflict, but just apart from conflict, they don't like that. But
no, I look at negotiations as like you got two people with one common goal, but one wants a little bit more every time.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But even rolling back to like the whole, just like the concept we were talking about with trust, right? So for me, sometimes I always reverted back to sports, and the biggest sport I always reverted back to sometimes for me would be baseball. You know what I'm saying? So you think about your infielders, your shortstop, and your second baseman and your first baseman, right? Their main goal in some cases is to pull that double play. You gotta trust to know I need for you to be there at that base by the time that ball hits my glove.
Facts.
I need for you to make sure when you get that in your hand that it's going to the next base to get that second out. And if we don't practice that, if we don't trust each other to do that, it ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that trust, like I said, the trust is their foundation. And then also thinking about, all the stuff that you've talked about, collaboration and everything that goes with the commitment, which is like the biggest thing. If you don't have the commitment, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? You're just basically just talking the entire time.
I think, real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that trust is so hard to come by when you're networking, because trust, I believe, accumulates over time, just shared experiences and conversations and stuff like that. So for me, I've noticed you're either going to present one or two ways. It's kind of going to be all or nothing. Either your trust light is on or your trust light is off when it comes to those really short spurts of connection. Like if you're at a networking event and you're swapping business cards or you're swapping stories, I'm either going to be like, you know what, I am going to email this person, or
nah,
you thought.
For me,
and I'm going to rip it up. So once you decide, am I going to approach these millisecond conversations or exchanges with my trust light on or my trust light off, I think that really spirals into the outcome of that relationship too. But that's so hard because we've grown up in a society where it's kind of dumb to just blindly trust somebody. That's just off the strength of our experiences here in America. Yeah. You just don't do that. So switching it on is hard.
What do you think is if y'all could give like a percentage of the networking conversations that y'all have had throughout y'all entrepreneurship journeys? What's the percentage of open trust that you've given or that you've been willing to give? Because I know you know a lot, and you would think in most business situations like a lot of it is what they call that Hollywood connection. Hey man, we should work together. Let's go. But it never happened. No. So what you think is the percentage? What could be something that the audience could be expecting in terms of percentage wise? And and of that percentage, is that like worth it? Is that good enough? Should I be more trusting? Should I be less trusting? What y'all think that percentage number would be? How many yeses versus nos in them conversations?
Mine starts low. I'm sorry. My percentage starts low. I have a hard, like, I think it's personality too for myself. Like I have a hard time sometimes trusting just people in general because it's just like, you can tell me anything, you know what I'm saying? And especially if it's coming towards my money and business, I'm not going to believe everything you tell me. It'll be easy to get. So my thing is like, I'm going to give you, and I'm just ballparking this right now. I'm going to give you about 25% of my trust right now.
So only 1/4 of the individuals that walk up to you
25%.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's a hard
let's network. Let's consult.
No, I'm giving
only
you 20,
about 20
because I need that other 75% to be actual commitment, actual like you showing me that you want to do this, and then that last 25% is actually following through with it.
So do you feel like it's more of the person presenting, or do you feel like it's what they're presenting that changes?
It's it's a little bit of both. Both. Because you can tell me you're doing this, and this, and then if I go to look for it and I don't see anything, now you're just talking. You know what I'm saying? And the biggest truth that gets told on people, especially now, is their social media.
Facts.
Because think about it. You base your business off your social media. You base yours off your social media. I base mine off my social media. I know our social media right now is in the works. And I'll tell people that. I have no problem telling them that because we've only been open for a year. So we're literally just starting. You know what I'm saying? So all of my ducks we're trying to line them up in the proverbial row, as we so-called say with these ducks. And, you know, I will tell them one thing. I'm like, look, we will make sure that we do the best job possible. I'm not guaranteeing you anything, but if you do your part as well, then we will make this work. If you can't do your part, I can't help you.
That's fair. And that sounds like it still, once again, speaks the truth, because even when you say, like, if I go look for your business and what you're giving me, what you're telling me is not visible to be seen, that's a trust issue there, because now what you're telling me is in line with what's happening. Right. And so for you, saying when you're speaking to other people, is like, I'm letting you know, so this is what I'm presenting you, and it's a line because we're saying, hey, we're still in development, we're still doing this, that, and the third, so this is what we have to work with at this point. But even with that, just me, I would respect that over somebody who sell wolf tickets. Yeah. But in essence, I've seen and experienced a lot of wolf tickets being sold, you know, whether it be, you know, actual product, whether it be, you know, production or whatever, whether it be talent. Like, I ain't gonna speak about that, but we done ran into some situations like the talent that you was
especially in entertainment,
the talent that is actually showing up is not the same talent.
It's not. You're not like, showing me your true self. And then when I go back to ask you, like, well, I saw this, but it ain't really adding up to what you told me. Right. You want to explain a little bit more? And if you can't do that, then it's like, all right, never mind. You know, I don't have, like, at this point, especially, I feel like when you're older as an entrepreneur, you start to incorporate that with your actual lifestyle. And it's like, I don't have time for that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about making things happen. And if you can't help me get there, or if you can't if you won't allow me to help put you in that position, we have nothing to talk about.
Facts.
Okay. For me, I think my perspective is a bit different. And by now, I would have thought Jarrell would have brought up clinical perspective and all of that. I know he did.
Last episode,
he did. I feel like he brings it up
because you don't understand.
But I'll be able to say I'm surprised you didn't, because this question I definitely rely heavily on my clinical perspective, because I'm a Black woman in America and I've been conditioned not to trust, just off the strength of I've seen what it looks like to trust, and it's just safer not to trust. And that's just the social climate that I've been raised in. But I am a clinical social worker as well, with behavioral health skill sets. So a lot of the time I approach entrepreneurship with my clinical perspective because it's work. If I work as a social worker, I'm going to be in a clinical headspace. That's just how I'm going to operate. So if I'm arriving at these events, I'm a social worker first. So I have a very open perspective when it comes to me being a social worker within those spaces. I'm trusting. Whether you're lying to me, whether you're not, I'm going to present like believing everything that you say at face value, and believing who you are and who you say to be at face value, just because most people growing up in America don't get that service, like that basic human right to be believed.
You gotta show and prove.
And so I'm actively trying to not do that with people I interact with, especially my clients, because they need safe spaces. And who would I be like, you a lie. That ain't what you. that ain't what happened. That ain't what happened. What you really do. So I have to set up as that trust. So when I go into those spaces, I go in as a social worker and I'm trusting. So I would say 85%, and I only didn't say 100 because I also feel like my mental health and my emotional health comes into play too, and it's a feeling. Like there's this gut feeling, and if that turns on, then I'm gonna have to say
I have a lot of that.
So it's great. I believe that I have it as well. I am going to be trusting first, but when my spider senses are tingling, I'm gonna say my spider senses are tingling. But I'm definitely gonna say, present your case. Who are you? Yes. Okay. Because I don't have.
If I even sense, I don't know. I feel like I'm like a
but I'm not present like. But I'm not going into.
I'm gonna give you a little bit.
25%.
I'm gonna give you a little bit. That much. But if I sense like
don't slip up
little thing, like I'm like I don't know.
Nah, my giving is a little bit freer. You can have it, and then I'm gonna say, oh, give me this back real quick.
Because my thing is like, if you're at the grassroots of your business or anything like that, like it's just like I don't have time for. What's the word I'm looking for? Like
me to
pretenders.
Me to be your trial run.
Yeah, like I don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying?
Aww.
I feel that because I feel like, like you said, both of you guys, like, and I kind of retract that statement, because we all had to have some level of a trial run with somebody that just trusted what we was able to bring to the table. But like once again, speaking to the honesty of what you can do. Not being fraudulent in explaining what it is that you can do. I feel like the self-awareness of letting that collaborative party know the things that you can't do, or the things that you need, assistance with, or whatever the case may be, whether it be, and I'm speaking for me, in production spaces, well, if this is a conversation that we want to have, this is a collaboration project that you want to be a part of, there might have to be more money involved because my repertoire of equipment might not be to the standard that's necessary. But all of that needs to be communicated up front
That
so you can make a conscious decision about what happened.
Quick.
That's why you gotta have these conversations, make them plain.
Right.
What you need, what do I need, what's the point, how much it is, and write it out.
So that's why I feel like those conversations need to be had way before you even go into action to even do anything. All those just need to be, I don't want to call them standardized ideas, but kind of want to call it that.
Yeah, no.
Because that's it's like, I need to know, can you afford to do this?
And
can you provide that equipment for me?
And I think that you're right. And I don't think that happens because I don't think we realize that it's important until after we've been burned a couple times. And then we're like, you know what? I don't want to put my hand on the stove just yet. There's got to be some safety checks that I can ensure that the stove is off before I touch the stove again. So I don't think that any of us are kind of like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. Hey, let me come up with some policies and procedures to ensure that everything is amicable and aligning as it ought. But I do think it's necessary. But I think that's another reason why we should connect also with bigger entities because they have such a long track record. They know the lay of the land by now. And if you could snag a mentor as well, that can just kind of...
That was my one mistake.
That can just send you some...
Yeah, never got one.
Send you some PDFs, you know, send you some... This is what a bylaw look like. This is what an MOU look like. Right. Just little things that if you're in the entrepreneurship space, you're not necessarily always in the operational space. And that's okay, because a lot of the times I think we like to play in the program service space. Like we like to we say we're doing it.
We love that idea.
And then we like to do the things that we're saying, but we don't really think about fortifying the structure and laying the foundation, all the paper stuff to make sure everything is everything.
So my question is, do we really understand what being an entrepreneur is, or do we just understand the idea of what it is?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's specifically in our community, once again, we are really the generation of going and bumping our head in the dark so that the people that's coming behind us got a little bit more vision. Because I know for myself personally, I'm the first one in my family that has ventured into entrepreneurship. Whether it be,
so am I.
I'm the first person in my family that's been, ventured into the creative space, artistic space. So it's so many unknowns that I walked into. Fortunately, I was, a part of Propel Bosses, so I got some of the groundwork. And what's even crazy about what that groundwork, about knowing what you're getting yourself into, it's not always about even full capacity understanding that, because like as a big picture person, I don't know too often see the stuff that's happening right in front of me always, or seeing the magnitude of what's happening right in front of me, because I'm so looking so far down the road. But just even having the mental space, which we talk about a lot. This whole podcast, this whole podcast series is talking about the personal side of being an entrepreneur, which I feel like is just as much, if not more important than the more technical side. Because I feel like the technical side can be easily Googleable. Yeah. But understanding the experience of being an entrepreneur and knowing what that is going to entail, the level of self-awareness you're going to need, the level of, confidence to step into situations and feel like all of these things, I feel like are the real development that we need in this entrepreneurship space for the next generation. Because, I've talked to younger aspiring entrepreneurs, and they're just like, I don't even know if I have. I'm like, nobody does when they start. Nobody knows that they have what it takes. They can assume that. They gonna have people that tell them yes you do. They gonna have people tell them no you don't. But it's about where your self-awareness and your confidence lies, that you gonna keep moving regardless of what anybody else tells you. Like that's a conversation that has to be had for a lot of people, because they see, I jump out here with my art, the first people that might be in position, that big organization that might be in position to put me on or whatever, they tell me that I ain't good enough, so now my whole dream is shot because one random person And it's just like, nah, bro, like this entrepreneurship is a marathon. When Nipsey said marathon, it's for real. Like,
and I think that everyone does have a general understanding as far as what entrepreneurship can be. And I think when you hear entrepreneurship, you equate it to some form of freedom. It could be financial freedom. It could be freedom from certain occupations. It could be freedom to certain time constructs. But there is some level of freedom. And I think that there's also some level of pride associated with entrepreneurship. So I think everyone, if you were to poll and filter their answers, it would either be like, yeah, to be an entrepreneurship means you're free to do whatever, or you have this sense of like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah. You have this sense of je ne sais quoi, that just be like, yeah, I'm about that life. I'm an entrepreneur. But I don't think anyone has a level of understanding to the fullness of what entrepreneurship is and what it can be, because we're still evolving as entrepreneurs and what that needs to look like, because the global market space changes and also basic human needs change. And at the end of the day, entrepreneurship, you're solving a problem. Whether you admit it or not, whether you're product-based, service-based, whether you're an artist, creative, whether you're some type of conglomerate or hybrid, you're addressing a need. There is a need that you sense within the community, within the world, that is lacking, and you are going to culminate the skill sets and you're going to get all of the tools to ensure that that need is addressed. Yeah. So I think that everybody kind of has those common basic understandings about entrepreneurship, but I don't know if any human being fully understands, but I do think every entrepreneur does have a piece to that humongous puzzle that will like mural what entrepreneurship truly is in the direction that entrepreneurship is going. But I'm really excited that entrepreneurship is becoming way more tangible, because I'm not the first generation. My parents, my grandparents were entrepreneurs. I'm sure that there's ancestors that I don't even know, but I'm sure they did some things. But I will say that entrepreneurship is presenting way more approachable. Like, it's got me feeling like I can do this. I can be an entrepreneur. I can be a part of this elite, prideful, like freedom riders. And we're going out and we're saving the world in their own way, shape, or form. And I think that that's a common thing, because we're reaching back and we're sharing to our younger generations. Y'all could be entrepreneurs. You see this right there? If you learn that, you could make money. You see this right there? If you're good at that, then you could keep that, So I didn't hear those messages from people outside of my parents, but I only heard them because they were doing it. Right. But like, as far as schools and community centers, entrepreneurship was not the wave. When we were growing up, college was the wave. You need to go to college. And then there might be little whispers, if you don't go to college, you could always go to the military. But there were no other, there was never a conversation with saying, well, Lauren, you don't have to go to college. You don't have to go to the military. You can be an entrepreneur, and let's figure out what that is. Let's figure out what you like to do. So now I think that the new wave of entrepreneurship is like, let's tell everybody and their mama that they have the capacity to be entrepreneurs if you want to. I'm not saying everybody and mama need to be an entrepreneur, but I'm just saying it's accessible.
Yeah, I didn't get that option. It was, you going to college or you
going to college?
That's it. I didn't get that.
And I'm sure even now, after you already did all of that, and if you whisper, like if you have conversations with older adults, like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. You could have stayed with that good government job for 20, 30 years and retired, got your pen.
And guess what? We ain't getting nothing from it after we retire.
Nothing at all.
So is it worth it?
So we're at 1:30 right now. What you want to do? How do you want to approach this? I'll pause it. There you go.
Okay, so that was a very windy conversation. We went everywhere. I don't even remember what the initial question was, but I'm assuming that
the idea of being an entrepreneur or connection with being collaboration. Yeah.
Nevertheless, hopefully something that we said resonated with you and connected with you. So after we finish talking about it in the trigger warning section, we like to transition into our Wellness Wheels segment. So that means that we get to explore and talk about one of the 8 different areas of wellness that we have. So wellness is multidimensional. It is not just diet and nutrition and exercise. There are 8 different components that you have to work optimally in order to be holistically well. And we're not going to tell you all those, but if you watch all of Feeling Triggered, you'll know what all 8 is. So today we're going to be talking about financial wellness. So that means that you have an understanding about how your thoughts and how your feelings impact your decisions around money. And because you understand that, you're able to make more purposeful, more healed decisions around and choices around money.
Rational decisions.
Rational and healthy.
Yes.
So I want to start off with this question. Do you feel like amongst us, specifically entrepreneurs, a little bit broader in the Black community, do you believe that there is I won't call it universal, but an overarching idea of poverty mindset that kind of plays into our financial wellness as a community, as individuals, as entrepreneurs? Do you feel like that is a real problem? I mean, I've heard that buzzword before, like poverty mindset, but do you guys feel like that is really something that's impacting us?
Yeah, I mean, because...
And then what does that mean to you, too, also?
I mean, so when you're thinking about it from poverty mindset, you're thinking like, I'm going to get rich real quick just off of what I'm doing. And when you find out within that first year you're not going to make no money, it's like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Why didn't I do it right? Oh my God, why is it not working? It's like, no, you're in a building stage right now. You got to even figure out what this is. You don't even know what it is yet. You know what I mean? So of course you're not going to make any money right now. But for me, I mean, I understood that I wasn't going to be making a lot of money my first year. You know what I mean? Because we still have to figure out like what this business is, how to perfect it. Well, not even perfect it, but develop it for it to be a working machine. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't sit down and like really think about that, then it's just like, okay, well then what are you doing it for? You know, I think from the financial standpoint, a lot of us, especially in our community, and I hate saying going back to our community but we have to, because that's pretty much kind of prevalent as to, you know, when it comes to supporting Black businesses. Like, we want them to understand that it's okay if you don't make any money right now. You still have, for some of us, you still have your regular jobs that you have to go back to, but you're still able to pay your bills. You're still able to put food on the table. You're still able to buy that bag or buy that trip that you want to go to right now, until you get to that point where you have other businesses working for you, and then it's like, okay, I can kind of slide away from my 9 to 5 and I can focus more on my actual business that's making me more money. You know, when you get to that point, then you kind of can let off the gas a little bit. You can kind of coast. But I mean, right now it should just be pedal to the metal. Let's figure this out. Let's figure out how to make the money, and then, you know, go from there. You know.
I agree. I think that it's kind of like a tripod of different mindsets that the Black community has as far as entrepreneurship and money. Well, money period. And entrepreneurship. Yes, I can see where you're coming from with the poverty mindset. Yes, I see a lot of trauma around money and oppression and like systematic stuff. And then I also see like this huge sense of urgency as far as just off the strength of paycheck to paycheck. So I see all of those kind of interconnecting, and maybe that's explicitly what poverty mindset is. But in addition to all those things, there's also, we're living in a hustle mindset, well, a hustle culture, and it's almost like if we go slow, then we're not doing entrepreneurship or work or living right. There needs to be a constant state. and we're just such a hardworking group of people anyway, and a self-sacrificing and communal people and an innovative people that just be making stuff out of nothing. And I think all of that kind of bleeds into money. And I also think that money just creates so much stress within our community. That also motivates us to constantly be so eager. So I liked what you said about how we're not really able to enjoy the first 5 years of entrepreneurship because there's so much riding on us to be successful.
Right.
Like there is no failure. And if you get even a whiff of failure, you need to stop and do something else because you ain't got that time to fail just because you need to be bringing in money to sustain the household, just period. It almost don't even matter how you bring in money, just which is a whole nother conversation. Just bring it in because you need a roof over your head and you need mouths fed. So I think there's so many different things at play when we make basic conversations like, should I work there? Or should I collaborate with them? Because at the back of your mind, you know you need to bring in money. You know you need to be successful. You know you need to hustle. Like, you know that your so-and-so is living paycheck to paycheck. And if they get hurt or if they call out or if they get sick or if they get just laid off, then that's it. The house of cards falls. So poverty mindset, trauma mindset, oppressed in the system set up for us to fail mindset, a hustle mindset, and just that there's no space to fail
and I feel
mindset.
Like in that same breath, you have no space to fail, which we see. Venture capitalist is a venture. Venture capitalism is set up off the I see your idea, let's give it money and see if it's gonna make more money. Right. How much money is spent and lost in venture capitalism? Majority of that money not going to people of color. So when we say you guys hear both Justin and Lauren talking about fearing failure and not having space to fail, is because we don't get enough opportunities to let one perish. Like, that's the first part. But in that same dichotomy, it's almost a fear of success as well, financially speaking, because a lot of people come from impoverished households that, my financial freedom, my financial stability comes with direct responsibility in a lot of cases for people that, my family, that are not even involved in what I'm doing. And so then your motives kind of get shifted because it's like, I want to make money, but a part of me making money means now I'm responsible for, everybody looking at me. Oh, you the one that made it. You the one that got it. So now that you the family member. Oh, Junebug needs bail money. Oh, grandma lights about to get like that. You become that person, and I've seen it happen. And it's just like, you see a whole bunch of people that become from our community that get successful, and that level of burden that comes with that success, because it's so few and far between, it removes these successful people out of the neighborhood.
I think I felt like I have started to feel that a little bit too. And it still always goes back to like what you see.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They see you doing well. They see you on the gram. They see you on Facebook, wherever, and they see you have what you have, and I'm like, we can let me holler at him real quick. It's like, no,
because I just need about $5,000,
and I'll be like, where we gonna get it? Because you ain't getting it from me. I'm trying to figure out how to get it myself. It's like it. I think it's built like such a big facade as to like who we actually are as people. And when I mean, we haven't grasped that concept yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still looking at just pictures of what we do. And it's like, no, the reason why you see this It's because I have the job now that I can afford to do this. It's not because I make a boatload of money. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I'm able to do. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But you get people from your hometown, some people, and they're like, oh, well, he must be rich. No, I'm not rich. Nah.
I was just about to say, I think it definitely has something to do with representation and exposure to opportunity, what we think rich looks like. And if we see it, then we associate, oh, you're rich. But then you think about it, where do you see rich people? Where do you see rich people within, well, I was going to say within music videos, allegedly, right. Because I'm really starting to think of where did I get, well, one, we get information from media and from music. So I was like, where did I see my very first rich person, and how, if I were to describe what rich looked like in my growing up stage, what would I say? And a lot of that would be the cars, the clothes, like all of the things that money can, the things that we assume that money can buy. So I think that what would start shifting us away from that is just one, more education about what wealth looks like, and more information about how do we know and how to diversify. So financial education, I feel like we don't ever learn what we're supposed to learn in school, because I was just about to say financial literacy and financial education is never taught to us. So a lot of the times we fumble through and we don't get it right.
Please, let me speak on that. I'm sorry, I have to, because that's something that's burned me for years since I've been in education, and I have yet to understand. If it's supposed to be school, the whole concept is to learn different things. Am I right? Or, I mean, okay. So
that ain't it.
Okay.
That's what we want to believe.
Right, but I'm saying that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that ain't
instead of the standard. Yeah, we all know you need math. We all know, yes, you need to learn how to read. But how about you learn how to balance a checkbook? If, that's still a thing. How about learning stocks?
Like tangible life
things, yeah.
But I feel like it's all a ploy to ensure that the working class stays there.
So this is the concept I came up with, and I don't know. A lot of people probably look at it this way. I have looked at school now as we went through 12 years of school, through basic education, to learn how to be workers.
Facts.
Your principal is your boss. Your teachers are your supervisors. Your deans or whoever, they are your HR workers. You have your HR workers, but they're just the actual people. You, the student, are the worker. The work they give you is your paperwork. The grades you get is your pay. If you don't perform on your job, you don't get paid.
Yeah, that's the system. Yeah. And once again.
And then on top of that too, look at how long they're in school.
For 8 hours.
9 hours. What do you do on a normal work week?
Yeah.
8-9 hours, which
2 days a weekend,
Monday through Friday.
You as a child,
that is an equivalent 40-hour a week.
So I agree with everything that you guys are saying. So I'll challenge you guys and say, with that, you all eloquently explain what school is. You all both have expressed, you know what? Don't nobody get no financial literacy education. So when community members, family members start to see what rich looks like, it's frustrating to have the people that are in those positions to become frustrated, if that makes sense. Yeah. So we're not helping. First of all, we're not helping. We're frustrated, and we're either expressing or severing connections for other people, and then that creates frustration, like, but you made it. I don't understand why you can't help us. You've been here, you've seen that. But the people that are doing the no, I can't, or it might be the people that are giving are saying, but I haven't made it yet. So it feels like a ball and chain. It feels like I'm like treading water, trying to make it to land. Like, let me get to land first, and then I'll throw you a life jacket. Like And it's frustrating to hear these conversations because both ends of the spectrum are accurate, but we're mad at the wrong things. This is the energy and the fuel that needs to be sent to legislators, Board of Education. Like, it's literally a system that's working exactly right. And we are all like the manifestations of a very well functioning system. Yet we're having conversations.
Like this, the fact that
we need to be shifting all of that frustration towards the system or creating alternative systems to go in line with that. Like, I had a conversation with someone today about, and I feel like I'm gonna get this wrong, but it's like an alternative school where you focus on problem solving and critical thinking and stuff like that. And I'm obsessed with that theory. That is someone got frustrated enough to see, you know what, let me be an entrepreneur about this and come up with a solution to combat the system that's creating these cogs of workers.
And imagine the pushback they got from that too.
It's always going to be pushback though when you go up against the system.
And what's even crazier is, like I said, with that conditioning that's set up, it's almost as if, and I feel like, of course, it's just about every system in America, but it's almost as if you've conditioned the people who are subjected to the system so much that now you're not only fighting the system, but you're fighting the minds of the people that's in the system.
They conform to the system.
Have been unable to actually reach who is responsible for the system.
Right, yeah.
Because you're trying to fight your way out of the system, fight your peers, your family, all these people that are trying to sway you back into the system because they've been conditioned to believe this particular thing. So that abstract way, or that, rebellious way of thinking is almost like not even a double-edged sword. It's like a triple-edged sword, because it's like you fight yourself, because now you doubting, like, am I supposed to be doing it? Because everybody else is doing it.
Right?
So
Like,
should I be doing it?
No.
It's a whole. It's
literally the matrix, and if you get just a little ounce of information about, hold up, something ain't.
It's not right.
I don't think this is how it's supposed to go, y'all. If anyone gets an inkling of becoming more Neo, let alone Morpheus,
they ready to get rid of you.
You know how this, them agents were swarming. Yeah, the system is set up to be like, hey, there's a disruption in the system. Send the droids, send the armies,
so we can flow this thing on out.
So it's definitely, but I feel like the more we realize, this is kind of Matrix type vibes. I hope that validates you, because I think that when you start to feel the walls kind of closing in as far as people trying to sway you of an idea, that's the idea that you need to grab on hold to and run, trying to find other people that have the same ideas. Because when those people, a very small number of them, when they come together, they about to be destroying some stuff.
Man, I mean, but it's even like, but with anything that we do, like even at our jobs, like, okay, so even going back to COVID, we're gonna go back to anti-COVID real quick. Like, when we all sat at home for that whole year and a half, right? We finally understood that we don't need to be in buildings to actually do our jobs. I found that out. Other people found that out. So why are
some people knew the whole time?
Yeah, right. Like, we knew the whole time, right? Like, so why do we have to kill ourselves every morning trying to get up just to be in a building all day on time when we don't have to be?
I was just about to say, I think so. We realized that we don't have to. That's where the power lies, because there have been more strikes.
Yes, there have been.
There are more people that are clinging hold to that idea of something's not right, and it's festering. And they're talking, which is something else we don't do.
We don't talk enough.
We're talking about our thoughts and about our feelings. I don't feel like going to work. I don't feel like we need to do this. And it's galvanizing people.
And even from a talking space, the fact that they put in a lot of clauses in your employment contracts that you are not allowed to discuss salary or discuss your wages with the other employees, for the simple fact to keep this matrix going.
Right.
Because if we start talking about how, how much I'm getting paid, how much you're getting paid, now this equity conversation comes into play.
Right.
And we might be doing the same job. For example, like, say me and Lauren working for a company doing the exact same job. We already know the wage disparities, amongst men versus women.
Yeah.
So, and And just if we actually had that conversation, now we have a plateau to stand on to say, but they like, nah, don't do that.
Don't talk about that.
Start looking at, and once again, it's you fighting so hard to get out the system that you still never really get to the villain that is the responsible for it. Like it's really hard to do. It's really hard because the whole battle is not becoming, and even, you know, the rhetoric of the best way to help the poor is not to become one. Like that mindset still takes the accountability off of the reason why these people are poor. Like, you got out, don't turn around and look back.
Right.
We didn't even like the fact that you got out of the system, that you got out of the matrix. But how dare you turn around and try to get somebody else out? So now the rhetoric becomes, hey, don't talk about how much you make with other people. Don't even consider going back and trying to help somebody to get the way you are. Like,
don't they remind you of something real prevalent?
Absolutely. You mean the basic structure of any system that we have in this country?
No, but it was a word for it though.
It's a word?
It was a word.
What's the word?
They stopped doing it after 1865.
Anybody? History buffs out there?
I mean, you know,
leave it in the comments.
Leave it in the comments. We ain't gonna say it.
I ain't gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. But I just pretty much gave you the foundation of what it actually is.
I will say that
crabs in the barrel.
Conversations like this, though.
Crabs don't belong in the barrel.
No, I'm not even gonna say that. I'm not even gonna say that.
You don't think so?
No.
I think that's literally what.
That's a choice.
I'm gonna move on from this back and forth. I'm gonna move on from this back and forth and say that conversations like this are necessary.
I feel like we should have a whole episode on just money. Like, we need to have that.
We could. Let us know in the comments.
That y'all want to hear.
What do you want to talk about?
Let them know.
Pop it off.
But I think that when you are galvanized, when you become woke, which is another term when you
two
becoming aware,
so when you unplug,
taboo.
Yes.
They've taken that
that's
word.
That's by design, though, too.
They've taken that word and made it have a nasty taste in your mouth.
It's 2 words.
Just meaning enlightened. Like, it's crazy.
It's 2 words. We've learned two taboo words there. 2.
Once you become woke, I think it's important. Y'all, I'm tired. I'm trying to get them out my house. Once you become woke and galvanized and you're ready to find other people, despite the fact that you're being compelled to turn back around and to plug back in, it is important to do everything that they almost give you a script as far as all the things that you're not supposed to do. More than likely, you should probably do all of those things. And I'm really grateful to hear Jarrell speak about Propel Production Center, and Justin, really anybody who pauses me on the street and says, yo, I see you, you're doing good work, because I am so intentional with putting people on and bringing people along with me consistently, because that's something that I've been taught not to do. So I'm definitely anti a lot of different things, but I know Jarrell can attest to that. The fact that we brought Justin on, more visibility for him, and this is not the first time. Propel Bosses, y'all need to, if y'all have not been to Propel Bosses, but that's definitely a space to incubate one another and to devise plans to say, what can we do in the community? There is strength in numbers. If we are all aligned and intentional with the purpose of healing the community, we're gonna rise like the tide. So that is what I try to do with this. I'm trying to be Neo. Then one day I will level up to be Morpheus, to be like, y'all, come this way.
But you did that with him though. So you kind of already played. You already played Morpheus already.
I still tried, and I have not stopped. I haven't been like, oh, one off. All right, see you.
Yeah, I'm definitely will always stand as a testament to just a different mind. Like, you have the capacity to have your mind changed, to have yourself pulled out of the matrix, because all it takes is a simple decision. It just takes a simple decision, whether we're talking about from a trust aspect, where you're trusting whoever you're talking to, whether you're trusting yourself to believe in what you are and the value that you bring to any situation. Because that's one thing that, you know, full-time employment or working in the system rids you of. Because you seem to be just another cog in the wheel, they rid you of your individuality and your you know, individual value. You can't see that because you're working within the mass organization that all the success is only being relished at the top. So just believe in yourself, man. Believe in yourself and what you can do. And the more you see people start to get to that space, the more you can now demand the value, whether it be financially or otherwise, demanding the value that you deserve. Like,
I would say have self-confidence also, and believing in what you, like what you said, believing in what you're doing. You know, don't just sit up here and do this stuff and then don't believe in it. Yeah, because then it's like you wasting your time. And then also, you know, having that perseverance of having to be able to get through any obstacle that's coming your way. You know, even when you like at your lowest point, you know, it's like, I'm not letting that stop me. I'm gonna continue to keep pushing until I get to that point where I'm back to where I need to be. You know, I think we lose that sometimes, especially like when we first start out, because we feel like we got it all figured out, and then we hit that one little bump, and then next thing you know, it's
everything that we ever did.
It's just trash. Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So this has been a dope conversation. We're gonna end off with our last segment. So Justin, we got a question for you. All of this conversation about, you know, these new words that we've learned today.
Yes.
All of this conversations about all of the ups and downs of collaboration and you know, walking down memory lane in terms of the experiences you've had with that as an entrepreneur. We always like to end off in our arts of expression segment where you can kind of tell us what piece of art or how you going to be expressive to kind of wind down from this conversation and recalibrate to get you back to you know, optimum place of wellness. What type of art, artistic expression or consumption do you dabble in?
I've never been asked that before.
First time here,
right?
Prepare.
World premiere.
I
feeling tripped by
I've never been asked that
premiere.
before. Whoa. I'm trying to figure out how to even answer that.
Oh, good.
So that means
we asking you the same question. Sound off in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to describe it as like a piece of art, is that what you're saying? Or
I mean, however, what's your form of expression? What's your form of, you know, because of course we know Propel Productions prides itself on being a mental health space that is focused in expressive arts. So using arts as a means of, you know, developing your wellness. So what is there a particular art form that you either, you know, participate in, whether you consume?
I consume more. Okay, so I consume more sometimes into jazz music.
Okay, that's a lot. And
I do that because it's like, it kind of gives you a chance to like really think and zone out. I know for me, sometimes it'll be the Miles Davis, or it'll be Coltrane.
Love Coltrane.
You know what I mean?
John Coltrane is that man.
You know.
Yes.
For Miles, it's like I feel like I'm back in like the Harlem Renaissance type of, you know, vibe or whatever.
My Spotify playlist literally is called Speakeasy.
Yeah.
Like, I put this playlist on anytime I'm really trying to get like my Langston Hughes vibes. Like really getting in that.
Like I really
respect that.
I really feel that though, because I mean, you know, we all have, especially black folks, we always had that gift of creativity, that gift of just being able to just take something out of nothing. You know, I mean, take nothing and make it into something.
Yep.
You know, and for me, it's just like, okay, what ideas can I come up with, you know, to try to either make it work for me for my actual job or for me to work it for my business. You know, like even with the venture I spoke about earlier, that was something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I just needed to know when the right time to do it. And it just so happened that I met another person that had the same mindset for it. So now that that's starting to become a thing now, I want to make sure we bring it to an audience that will appreciate it.
I feel that.
You know,
I feel that.
So that's how I would look at it.
That's what's up.
Yo, Justin inspired me just now for my word of the word of the podcast. I definitely want to encourage, just off the strength of listening to this conversation, I hope that one, you feel affirmed that you're going in the direction that you need to go, and the people that you will connect with are there. So to be patient with self. You don't have to rush towards anything, but to actually enjoy the journey, enjoy the conversations, enjoy the connections. So I want you to be patient, but also affirm in your intellectual property exactly where you are. Just even if you feel as though you don't know anything about what you want to do, just being flat-footed and understanding that the fact that you have an idea, the fact that you feel so bothered by whatever problem or trigger that you've experienced, that you are meant to do some type of work within that space, and that's gonna come when time comes. So to allow yourself to take that journey, allow yourself to be patient, allow yourself to stay open to those random connections and conversations, and also know that we're here. You know, Propel Podcast, the Griotsphere, Napier, Leach Consulting, we're all here, and you can find us here. There's space for you at this table. You know, I think we're of the new mindset where collaboration over everything. Like, that's how we get to cooperative economics. That's how we grow.
You do have
so
a seat at this table.
We cannot grow without you. I feel like everyone has a very specific piece to this puzzle. And I think the more that we realize, I don't have to do everything. I don't want to do everything. What do you want to do? Oh yeah, come on over. We need that. If we stay in that frame of mind, I definitely think that we're going to thrive within the entrepreneurship space.
Yeah. Let me say one more thing. I'm gonna look right into this camera, and I want everybody to know that you do have a space at the table. You just have to be willing to sit down and listen to whatever it is that's being talked about. If you don't do that, you won't ever get the chance to sit at the table. You'll still be at the kiddie table, still trying to figure out why you can't sit at the big table.
That's a message. Big time. I like that. Man, listen. We gave y'all a solid 2 hours. You feel me? If you didn't get at least one nugget that you're going to take and run with at full speed, what are you doing?
Rewatch it.
What are you watching? There you go. What are you really doing? You might have been sidebar. You was listening in the background, but you was scrolling Instagram and all that good stuff. Go back and really take in what we're talking about and figure out. And I think the cool part is you get, every time you turn on this podcast, you get a different perspective. You know, we bring on guests. Me and Lauren are forever, you know, showing you two sides of the coin. Like, we so much so, and we talked about this earlier, so much so want to make sure you don't just get the tangible, technical things that you can go look up yourself. All right? When we even went to the financial conversation, how do you make a budget? Blah, blah. It's plenty of videos about that. It's plenty of stuff that you can go look up about that. And if you're really looking for resources, still hit us up. We can point you in the right direction. But what we want to do is making sure we're giving you guys a really, really solid anecdotal perspective, our personal stories as we're going through. This is not talking retrospect. This is not talking about we went through these things at a different time in history, in a different climate, a different environment. This is literally the stuff that's happening right now. We're going through this stuff as we speak. So we're trying to be a testament to you that if we can do it, you can do it.
Sit right here at this table. That's all you got to do.
Ain't nothing else to say, man. I think that was good. I think that's it.
I'm chewing on ice right now.
Got the ice, but
But thank you for tuning in to Feeling Trigger Podcast. We will catch you on the next episode.
Blessings and favor. Peace.
All right, y'all.